Hello everyone, my name is Hina Mahmood and I am the Senior Occupational Therapist at the Down Syndrome Resource Foundation. In today's video, we will talk about how you can help your kids improve their dressing skills at home and become more independent. Dressing can involve putting on and taking off your clothes, socks, shoes, as well as completing fasteners such as buttons, snaps, zippers, and shoelaces. Dressing can involve a variety of fine motor skills. For example, pulling socks off requires a pinch grip, strength in the hands, and using both hands together in a coordinated manner. Pulling up pants requires good eye-hand coordination, as well as wrist and hand stability. Fastening snaps and pulling up zippers requires muscle strength in hands and fingers, in-hand manipulation, and good visual and motor integration skills. There are also many components of dressing that require gross motor skills. A stable posture with good core strength, strong and stable shoulder muscles, as well as good range of movement in the forearms and stability and strength in the wrist muscles. To help with independence in dressing, first we must ensure proper positioning. Sitting down to put on pants or shoes, leaning against a wall or the back of a chair can provide stability and balance during dressing tasks. Kids can prop up their leg on a stool or the edge of a chair to put on their shoes, or they can cross one leg over the other to put on their pants and shoes as well. Children need to be in a stable position to hold clothing and dress and undress independently. This alleviates the challenge of balancing and reduces fatigue, which saves energy to carry out the task itself. When teaching kids a new task, approach it step by step. First, break down the task into small steps. Determine which step the child is having trouble with and begin your support there. Use sufficient supports at first, then slowly fade to prompt independence. Backwards chaining can be a great strategy used for teaching dressing, where the skill is broken down into steps and then taught in the reverse order. For example, putting on a jacket can be taught using this technique. First, the dressing task is broken down into small, manageable steps. It is important to promote the feeling of achievement during the process of getting dressed. An ideal way to accomplish this is to let your child complete the last step of the task by themselves. For example, you can help your child complete steps 1 through 7 of putting on a jacket, and then let them complete the last step by zipping up the zipper without your help. This will provide your child with immediate reinforcement as they have effectively finished the task alone. When a child feels successful, they are more motivated to work on the things that are challenging for them. Once they have mastered the last step of zipping up the zipper, teach them the second to last step until you have taught all steps in the reverse order and they can do the task independently. Another effective teaching strategy is play. You can have your child practice their dressing and fasteners within play activities, such as a dress-up game or dressing up their dolls. When you're starting to teach your child how to complete fasteners, such as buttons and zippers, ensure the item is set on the table or on their lap facing out. This would be the same position as if they were wearing that item of clothing. Once they're able to complete the skill independently in front of them, then they can practice on their other people or on their dolls. The last step would be to complete fasteners on themselves while wearing that item of clothing. Following these steps ensures that kids learn the correct techniques and with minimal frustration. Let's use this dressing vest as an example. Encourage your kids to use both hands together while completing dressing tasks. A strong pincer grasp can help maneuver a zipper up and down, and using both hands together can help undo the zipper from the track. Continue to encourage your kids to use their pincer grasp when working with buttons. Show them each step carefully so that they understand what the sequence involves. Remember, start off with large buttons first and then move on to smaller buttons. Learning how to undo buttons is easier and should be the first step. Once they have mastered that skill, you can work on closing the buttons. Now remember, the sequence of closing buttons will look a little bit different than opening buttons. Continue to show each step to your child, clearly and slowly. Here, you can use that backwards chaining method by putting the button halfway through the buttonhole and having them complete that last step of pulling it through. You can also hold the buttonhole and have them feed it through, and then grasp on the other end to pull it through. When teaching your child how to close a zipper, remind them to use both hands together. Use their pincer grasp to grab onto the fabric on the bottom while they work on trying to insert the zipper into the track. Keep in mind, this is going to be the most difficult and last step accomplished when working on dressing. You might need to help them understand how to insert the zipper into the track, and then remind them to use their pincer to pull up the zipper and use their helper hand to stabilize the rest of the fabric. When teaching your child how to tie their shoelaces, you can use a variety of sequences and methods. Here's one example. First, encourage them to cross over one lace, then cross over the other to make an X. The next step is for them to understand how to feed the lace through to make a knot. Using terms like over or under can be helpful. Have your child understand that the lace must go under and that they need to use both hands to pull and tighten to make a knot. The next step would be to teach them how to make a loop. Here, you can encourage them to use that pincer grasp to hold the loop upright. Next, you would ask them to take the second lace, wrap it around, and push the lace from the back towards the front, creating a second loop. Have them use their pincer grasp to hold both loops together and pull to tighten. When teaching kids how to open up their laces, use the plastic ends as a visual cue. Have them grasp the plastic ends with both hands and pull to open the laces. Continue to encourage them to work on their fine motor skills, as this would help them complete the shoe tying sequence easily and more independently. Finally, here are a few dressing tips to keep in mind when working on these skills with your kids at home. Remember, undressing is an easier skill to learn than dressing, so help your child learn how to take off clothes, socks, and shoes first. Start practicing with shorts first, as this will be less fabric for your child to have to handle when learning to dress. If shorts have a button, snap, or zipper, fasten them for your child, at least when they are at the beginning stages of dressing. Begin with a short sleeve shirt first, because it is easier for your child to manage. If your child is struggling, talk to his or her occupational therapist about other ways to put on shirts and jackets, such as the flip method. Jackets with contrasting colors will also help provide a visual cue to help your child understand if the jacket is inside out. It is easier to start out with slip-on or Velcro shoes to eliminate the need for your child to manage shoelaces. You can use stickers placed on the insoles of your child's shoes to help them orient right versus left. Stickers can also be put on the instep to help your child differentiate between the left and right shoe. Wide, flat laces are easier to hold and manipulate than thin, round laces. Finally, using 2 different colored laces can help your child learn the shoe tying sequence as well. To begin, start with ankle socks so there is less material for little hands to manipulate. Socks with colored heels or stripes across the toe will assist children to line up the heel part or toe part of the sock with their own heels or toes. Larger buttons and buttonholes are easier to begin with than smaller ones. Vertical buttonholes are also easier to manage. The button slips right into the hole without the wrist movement required with horizontal buttonholes. Finally, you'll want to look for a sturdy zipper with a stable end that is large enough to be grasped firmly. Sometimes a small keyring or other attachment to the zipper tab is useful if pincer grasp is not yet strong enough to pull the tab. You can also add zipper charms to the zips of jackets, backpacks, and lunch bags to help your child operate the zipper more independently. Remember, acquiring the ability to start a zipper independently takes a lot of practice, so remind your child that often the zipper doesn't start on the first try. For more information and additional resources, including our handout with our top 10 strategies for dressing skills, please visit our website at www.dsref.org/learnathome. Until next time.